How's everybody doing out there? How's everybody doing out there? What's good with everybody? I just wanted to do a little live before I do something with Billy Dom. This live right now is that the NYPD is right now is on a decline. A lot of them are starting to get fed up with all the stuff that's going on, so they're starting to retire and quit. Some of them are going to other departments. Some of them did 19 years. They're waiting for their 20th year. Then after 20 years, they're going to go. A lot of the detectives did, 35 and 30 years. Some of them did even 40. And their time right now is up. So they're going to be leaving because of the disrespect that's going on in the department. And New York right now is, I really can't say what I really want to say but right now the New York City's in bad shape. The crime went through the roof. NYPD is not being backed up. So a lot of them are leaving at a record, rate right now. They're leaving at a record rate right now. So that's what's really going on in New York City. Sorry about that. The crime rate in New York is going back to the 1970s and 80s all over again. So this is what's happening right now. And I have a friend that's an auxiliary police. He's supposed to be coming in right now. Hey, what's up, Jose? What's going on? How you feel? What's going on, bro? I'm gonna send the link in there just in case somebody wants to come say something. I'm gonna send the link. I'm gonna copy the link, and I'm gonna put the link in there right now. So if anybody wants to come in, that's the link right now coming. That's the link. You press that link and you can come in. But NYPD right now is being disrespected. So they are leaving. I have a couple of videos that my partner did send me. He's an auxiliary cop and he did send me some stuff. I'm going to show you some things right now. Hold on.
When you're starting a small business,
so this is what's really going on in the city of New York.
I heard about LegalZoom.
Okay.
The NYPD has faced a wave of retirements this year. And it's not only officers. Year to date, the department has seen more than 500 detectives retire.
CBS 2's Kevin Rincon is in Brownsville, Brooklyn, the site of the latest retirement. John Ulmer spent his entire 35-year career here at the 73rd Precinct in Brownsville, Brooklyn. As he walked out one last time, he was flanked by family and friends. For the last 2 decades, he's been a detective focused on helping the community.
Victims of homicides, their families, finding missing kids, runaways, trying to help them, put them on the right track.
That work is time-consuming, and there are fewer men and women on the job.
Guys in general here catch 400 cases a year. That's anywhere from a harassment to a homicide case.
Over the last year, 500 detectives have retired. The NYPD says it monitors attrition and plans accordingly, having hired 2,000 officers this year alone. But it didn't say how many were promoted to detective.
When you're losing that experience and knowledge that takes years to obtain, it's going to have a devastating effect on the victims of crime.
The head of the Detectives Union says the caseload has become overwhelming.
Well, they have to prioritize the cases. So if you get a shooting or a homicide, that'll take a priority than the lower level crimes.
And picking which cases to focus on isn't easy.
Every case is important. You want to reach out to these people. Everybody deserves to be treated equally.
Over the summer, we asked the chief of detectives about retirements and the impact that has on solving cases.
You can't replace experience, so that's tough. But some of our younger officers. They're very good, very young, which means they're very tech savvy.
As the NYPD works to boost numbers, collaboration has been key to managing the loss of so many detectives.
We still have some senior guys here who teach the young guys, and the younger guys have really picked it up.
He hopes the department will do more to allow others to one day enjoy a farewell like his, as he now prepares for his second act.
I guess I'll be sleeping tomorrow a little bit, and hopefully my wife won't throw me out.
In Brownsville, Brooklyn, Kevin Rincon, CBS 2 News.
Recordings just got better.
So there's a lot of stuff going on with the NYPD, and because the migrants are coming and they're demanding more stuff, they are doing a cutback in New York City where they're gonna be getting rid of 5% of the police force. They're not gonna be hiring no more for a while. They're getting rid of the school safety. So now, if you want safety in your school with the kids, or they're telling the parents that Adams is telling the parents that they're gonna have to volunteer. They're gonna be shutting down hiring on sanitation. They are going to be cutting a lot of the libraries. So right now, the NYPD is on the decline, and New York City is going through a bad situation. But I lived through this before because I'm from New York City, and it's only going back to the 70s and 80s. So Mayor Adams reminds me of Ed Koch, because when Ed Koch was mayor, the New York City was a mess. And now it went back to the same thing. You have Eric Adams in there, and New York City is a mess. So this is what's going on. And there's been nothing but violence every day, 7 days a week in New York City. Every day. I'm hearing that some of the migrants went back home because they didn't get their way. They didn't get their way of getting more than the Americans, or they wanted more, and they said, oh, they came here, they thought that the American dream, it was supposed to be good, but it's not what it seems. It's cold. So a lot of them did go back to Venezuela, but they was expecting the stuff that's just to be handed to them, and that's not how things go. I'm going to show you another video.
The line wraps around the building. 800 off-duty New York City police officers waiting outside Anton's Catering Hall in Queens Village to go inside to a meeting about retirement benefits.
We have significantly more retirees than active members.
This session filled up so quickly, another one is planned for another 800 cops next month.
There's a level of disrespect out in the street in regards to police officers. Whereas before, people will say, thank you for being here, thank you for protecting us.
This NYPD officer has been on the beat in Queens for 19 years, and he may retire next year. The spike in NYPD officers quitting or retiring as soon as they are eligible started in 2020. Cops leaving in record numbers following the defund the police movement and protests about police brutality in the wake of George Floyd's death.
This crowd is proof what's on the minds of New York City police officers is to exit the NYPD.
The line wraps around the building. 800 off-duty.
This is becoming a real bad situation. And what's going to happen is, because of the defunding of the police department, you're not going to be safe in New York. You're not going to be safe in New York at all. At all will you be safe in the city of New York City at all. At all. EQ.
Sir.
What's up, man?
Just calling you as a New Yorker.
Yes, sir.
As a regular human being.
Yes, sir. Talk, man.
It's very sad what's happening. This reminds me of the 1970s and the 1980s. It's very sad. If you would check out Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, and Channel 11, the news, you could see how New York City really is. Listening to the news and reading it. That's how we would know what's really happening in New York City. It's very sad. And it's sad seeing the good people. There's a lot of great people in New York City. It's sad that they're afraid to go out. A lot of them are afraid to go out, especially the elderly and the women. Stuff does happen from time to time on the buses and on the trains. Physically, I know people from a church that they left New York City because what's happening crime-wise. I'm talking to you as a regular person, as a regular human being. And it's sad. And it's tragic. No one should be going through anything. And to all the listeners that are out there, if you hear my voice, just check out, like I said, Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Orlando, Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, and 11. And that'll give you a perfect idea what's really happening. Orlando. That will give you a perfect idea of what's happening. We can say one thing, but if we check out those sites, if we check out those sites that I'm talking about, that will give a perfect idea what's really happening. And it's tragic because no one should be going through that. Nobody. And what's your opinion, sir, of what I just said?
You're right. You're right about that. And a lot of people are afraid to ride the trains, to ride the buses. You can't even go to the store no more. You can't do anything no more. And now, the cops are so afraid because they are responsible. If anything happens, if a cop does something to somebody in New York City, it's sad that they brought up this defunding of the police. Because now if the cops do something, you can't sue the city, you sue the cops. So now their hands are tied. You sue them, you take their pension, everything they work for. So yeah, it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy, man. It really is getting crazy in the city. And I mean, women are being violated, elderly people are being violated, children are being violated. Yeah, it's really becoming a bad situation.
They always do the citizens always. Like I mentioned before, I want everybody to check Channel 2, Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, Channel 11, New York Post. That will give everyone an idea what's really happening in the city. Every half an hour, every 15 minutes, or every hour, you're going to see what's really happening. And it's sad what's happening because 1979, 1980s, back again, but in a different fashion. And honestly and truthfully, nobody should be going through this. Nobody. And with my eyes, I have always seen the NYPD doing a fantastic job. The men, the women, working very hard. They are like the Marines of New York City, in my honest opinion. They're the ones that are keeping everyone safe, and they should be applauded always. And they are the heroes, because without them, It will be a sad situation, and we need them. Every time that we see them, we should tell them thank you and shake their hand because they are great.
Yeah, you're right. And I told people they should have voted for Curtis Rock-Sliwa because he would have never let this happen to the city he loved so much. 1979, we did a good job, and look at it now. It's back to the same nonsense again. They voted for the wrong person. They voted for a person that doesn't care. People are disrespecting the cops. They're disrespecting us public safety officers. They disrespect. Now they're saying if a security guard, if a security guard stops somebody from stealing in the store, that security guard can get arrested. So you telling me that a company hires security and I can't do my job or I will go to jail? What do you think about that?
That is sad. Because everybody in this planet Earth, if they want to get something in a store or supermarket, everybody should pay for what it is that they want. Not walking away from the store like if it's Christmas time. Let me give you a perfect example. I was on the train, and then you had a gentleman, maybe 65 years old, with a big shopping cart. Very sad. In that big shopping cart, he had over 50 cans of beer. Over 50 cans of beer. And then he asked me, do you want a can of beer? And I told him, I don't drink. I don't drink. And then he said, here's to New York, like a toast. And I asked him, where did you get this? I just walked in and I walked out. That's what he said. And that's sad. I know that law enforcement always does fantastic, always. I know that security does fantastic in everything that they do. But it's tragic when you see things like that. It would be beautiful if we could have some kind of change in all the states, especially here in New York City, to make things better and safer for everyone, because no one should be going through this at all. Nobody. People from a church that I go to, beautiful people. He used to work with the teenagers and the preteens in the evenings. This fine gentleman that had a lot of talent, he left to a different state because what's happening in New York City. He left with his wife and with his kids to New York City. Same church where he went to, you had someone who walked in, started spitting, all around spitting, knocking everything down from a church, physically in New York City. Like I always say, New York, NYPD, they do fantastic, but this person going to the church and doing basically whatever he wanted to do. On a different day, evening, someone came inside the church, roaming around, and he got up all the way to the place where the father sleeps at. Thank God there were some people there, men, and this person was escorted out and nothing physically happened to no one. It's sad. If all of us could work together as one, as a community, to make things safer, we need law enforcement, the churches, and the communities, and positive people to make it a beautiful change. Everyone together. No negative people, positive. So we could try and get rid of the cancer that's out there. All of us working together, we could do it.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Because I remember, back when we was in New York, New York City, was controlled. You know, everybody can say what they could say really bad about Giuliani, but he cleaned New York City up. He cleaned it up. He cleaned it up. Adams and what's the other mayor? Oh man, Adams and Ed Koch, the worst. And I told people to vote for Curtis Rock Sliwa. I told people, you got cops that leave and they don't want nothing to do with this. Nothing to do with New York. They don't want, because you're going to tell me I'm a cop, and if I stop somebody or if somebody attacks me, if I defend myself, now I get sued. You ain't going to sue the city. Now you're going to take my pension and take everything from me, and you paid me to do a service out here? We're not safe no more. Go ahead.
It's tragic because the officers, male and female, they work very hard. That is their profession. They always do fantastic, and they should be backed up. And it's sad. And what is sad as well, those officers that got assaulted, and those people, they're back out in the street. That's sad. And the worst thing is when you have someone who goes out to work and they return home with marks in their body and they're assaulted, and their families to see that, the wife, the children, the mother. It's sad. Like I always say, the NYPD officers and all law enforcements, they are heroes. They're the ones that keep everything in line and safe for everyone. They're the ones that are keeping everything online. And the criminals, the bad people, you cannot let them think that they can take over. The streets belong to law enforcement and to the good people, because there's a lot of beautiful people in New York City and all over the country and all around the world. Everyone.
I agree with you on that one. Yeah, 100%. But New York City right now, we in trouble. We are in trouble. If nothing gets done, this guy's cutting the budgets for everything. How are you not going to hire no cops? So that gives everybody a right to this. If they're going crazy now, it's going to even be worse. It's going to be worse. And New York City's heading for deep into 1970 and 80 again. Deep into 1970 and 80 again. New York City is heading for.
At that time, I remember living in the projects. You had a lot of beautiful people living in the projects. You have a lot of hardworking people in the projects. A lot of people who have talent. But at that time, me living in the project, before the movie New Jack City, me being 6 years old, I saw New Jack City way before that movie came out. And it was bad. Scary. Very scary. And coming back to the 80s or late 70s in New York City, it could be very, very sad. Do you remember? Give it a couple years ago. You had a beautiful young lady, woman, preteen. She was coming out of her high school, and two different gangs, they started shooting with one another. She got hit in the head. Remember that?
I remember that. Yes, I do. Or the little girl that just was killed, the 6-year-old girl that the mother went crazy. And remember, she killed her in the Bronx. And they said that people was calling and making complaints like they hearing noise, and nobody did nothing. CPS didn't do nothing. NYPD came late. It wasn't their fault. It was really the CPS, because it was reported to CPS multiple times that female kept a dirty house. It was always noise. They didn't do anything. And the little girl ended up dead. Horrible.
This is a message for everybody that hears me. If you hear screams of a child in your building where you live, call 911. Don't close your eyes. Don't go to sleep. Don't watch the TV. Save a human life. If you see something anywhere, use safety first and call. Everyone working together as one, we can make a difference. Law enforcement, they're there to help. They want to help. They just need the information where to go. We cannot let the negative element take over. So like I mentioned before, the streets, communities, and everywhere belong first to law enforcement so they can investigate and do what they need to do. But it's up to the people to say something if they see something, but always use safety. And like I said before, I would love everybody who's in New York City that can hear this voice. Check out Channel 2. Check out Channel 4. Channel 7. Channel 5, 11, and the New York Post. And there's other channels for the news that's out there. Check all of that out. And after you check all of that out, send this gentleman who has this show, send him a message. Tell him what you read, what you saw, or what you heard concerning crime-wise in New York City. It will tell you everything that's happening because we have a lot of talented reporters that are out there in the field, and they're talking about what's happening in New York City. And they would always say the truth, what's happening crime-wise. They want to give New Yorkers the news of what's happening so they can keep New York City safe. But if we keep quiet and we don't read the news or anything because it doesn't concern us, it becomes worse. It becomes like a piece of cancer. And you cannot let a piece of cancer grow. You have to find the solution to try and stop it. Everyone working together as one. I remember when I was younger, tenant patrol in the projects, the tenant patrol, the housing cops would come in and they would speak to the people in the tenant patrol and they would sign the book and they would go and check all the floors. Law enforcement, they're there to help. They are our friends. They just need to know what it is that they need to do from our point. But if all of us keep quiet, they could try and get an idea of what's happening, but they need to know everything. Forget about we shouldn't tell them. If we want our community safer, we need to talk. We have our families, loved ones, aunts, sisters, our mothers, great people in the community. All of us, we have to talk to make our community safer. Remember, the community belongs to the hardworking people, and there's a lot of beautiful, hardworking people that are out there. A lot of great people. And you have a lot of great officers, men and women, that are doing a fantastic job. All of us working together as one, as a unit, to make things safer. It can be done, but all of us, we have to do it together, but in a safe way. Safety first before anything else.
100% agreed. 100% agreed. What's up, Rocky Man? What's going on? Yeah, you're right. It's been on the decline, but it's really getting worse, and I feel bad for the younger kids that have to go to school. I feel bad for the people that's retired that can't even, sit in front of their building without Pookie and Ray Ray and Shaquan and Shanika coming to rob them. I feel bad, and you're going to try to tell me they're going to have less cops. Anybody else that wants to come in, I got the link. I'm putting the link out there. I copied the link. If anybody else wants to come in, the link will be right here for you to come in. The link is right there if anybody else wants to come in and say their piece. You understand? Because it's really getting serious right now. And, you know, the cops, they got attacked twice. Twice. And they didn't do nothing because they're afraid what's going to happen to them, their pension and all this other stuff. But we have to stand up. Being afraid is not going to cut it no more. We have to, if we don't stand up as citizens of New York or Chicago or anywhere else you live, if you don't stand up against these criminals, they're going to take over. It's going to be escape from New York. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be escape from New York. Because right now they doctored at 400 people leaving New York City a day because they don't want no part of this. Yeah, you're right about that, Rocky Man. Yup. It's going to happen. It's going to be another Bernard Goetz. Because Bernard Goetz was minding his business, coming home. Charles Bronson too, Death Wish, coming home from work, not bothering nobody. Here you got Pookies and Ray Rays. And they learned their lesson. But if we don't stick together as New Yorkers or Chicagoans or as anywhere you live, we don't stick together. Right now, I'm talking about New York because that's where I was born and raised, and I see it going down the tube. You know, this guy stepped in and he did the same thing. He destroyed it. He did the same thing Ed Koch did. He doesn't care. And it's going, the NYPD is declining right now. They all leaving. They saying, that's it. We had enough. We did our years. It's time to go. If you want to say something, brother, I'm going to bring you right now. You can talk, yeah, brother. You can talk. Does anybody want to come in? Does anybody want to come in before I close it up? Before I close it up, does anybody want to come in? Okay. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Like I mentioned, this is great gentleman who has this program right here. After this program is no longer on the air, I would love for people to send him comments. The comments should be this. Check out channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 11, and the New York Post. Check what happened today. Check physically what happened in New York today. Or go to any other social media where you have the news of New York City. After you read all of that or hear the news, send him your comments of what happened physically today. He is curious of knowing what happened, and that will give everybody a great idea. Are we safe in New York City? Yes or no? That is the magic question, and everybody should be safe in New York City. Like I always say, law enforcement, they do fantastic in New York City and all the states. I have seen them. They're great. We need them. They are the heroes of New York City. Without them, it's a sad situation. They are the heroes. Case closed. Like the soldiers when they come from war and the soldiers are in the parades, how they treat them beautifully. That's how the NYPD must be treated. So later on this evening, when everybody has some free time, check out the news media for New York City and send this gentleman a comment and let him know what happened in New York City from 6 in the morning until right now, or from 6 in the morning until 11:59 p.m. today. Let him know what happened or what what you saw that you didn't like, what happened physically in New York City. Let him know. And I'll be checking it out as well. I'm very curious what happened in New York City. I would love for the people to say what happened. I can say it. That is one thing. But if I say it, I am styling and profiling. But if other people say it, the word of the people is what matters. The people. Other people could try and make it look good, like a beautiful cake with the best taste. But if the person who wants to eat the cake is the one that knows the major ingredient, you know that cake is going to taste good. And you guys are important because you guys are going to give the ingredients of what happened really today from 6 in the morning until 11:59 today. We would love to know what really happened.
We might have to start up the New York City Guardian Angels again because they cared. The brother Curtis Rock, Sliwa, Arnold 13, Butch Young, and a whole bunch of people. The EQ man, Equalizer. We you know, the truck man. We did it. We came in and cleaned it up. Everybody should have really voted for Curtis. Because you know what? Curtis Rock Sliwa loves New York City. Okay? He loves this place. And the guy's a genuine good guy. Okay? A rough guy, rough, tough, you know, he put some people together. And we had this place cleaned. We had it cleaned. Yes, that's another group that came in from the Detroit. They could you right about that, Rocky man. The Detroit 300, but it took two women to bring them, you know, to let them stop doing what they was doing. The Detroit, those brothers was amazing. The Detroit 300 had Detroit, Michigan on lock until two women decide they want do it. Had well, I don't want to say on here because I don't want to get, you know what I'm saying, a strike. But those women disrespected these you know these brothers. These brothers got together in Detroit and they did what they had to do. The brothers of me in New York City, Guardian Angels, Rock Curtis, we did what we had to do. So we gonna need them to back. We're gonna need them back. I'm gonna bring this guy again. Hold on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
The New York City Guardian Angels, they always did fantastic. Why? Because I saw it physically. I was on the 4 train when I was very young. You had a lady, a woman, on the train, and two guys were attacking this woman, and all the men on the train was looking at that like a movie. Nobody would help. This is what I saw physically. The only ones that helped this woman, this young lady, 18 years old, was the Guardian Angels. They separated the criminal from the victim. At the next station, the police were there to arrest the perpetrator. That is what I physically saw with my own eyes. So the Guardian Angels, they always done fantastic in New York City, all the states, all around the world. With the Guardian Angels, it's about helping the community and safety for everyone. And no one should be a victim of a crime. No one. And no one should walk in fear. People should be able to walk anywhere. The good people should be able to walk anywhere where they want without fearing nothing. Because the streets and the subways and communities belong to the beautiful people. And there's a lot of beautiful people out there. And Curtis Sliwa, he is a beautiful human being. He cares about New York City. And anywhere where he puts his foot in the location, whatever state or country, he cares about the people. That's how it is. Some people may say different stuff, but these people do not really know him. He's a beautiful human being. Before we could judge anybody, we have to walk their footsteps from the time that they are born, that moment, until the time that someone starts talking about that individual. So if someone is talking about someone and they were not there when the person was first born until the moment they start talking, is all a lot of hot air. And sometimes it's jealousy, sometimes it's fear. But in my honest opinion, Curtis Sliwa, he always done fantastic. And if he would have been in charge of New York City, all of this, what we are seeing, would have never existed. And like I said, no one should be a victim of a crime. No one. You had a beautiful gentleman on 34th Street with his daughter. He was dropping her off. And then he really asked me, will my baby be safe? And I saw some degenerates looking at her like if she was fresh meat. Very sad. And the girl, you could see that she was afraid. He told me, be honest. Can I leave her alone out here? And I told him, honestly, take her to Long Island. Take her back home. Because you see them, the way they're looking at her. And they're drooling like they were a coyote and she's Bambi. No disrespect towards no one intended. That's how they were looking at her, and it's sad. And you could tell that the young lady was afraid. I told him, just take the Long Island Railroad and go back home. Maybe you could get her a job in Long Island where it's much safer. I don't want to tell you to leave her out here and then something happens, God forbid, and then I have to live with that. Because she looks like a nice lady from a nice family. You always want to have your daughter safe, not unsafe. And you do not want to receive a call, God forbid, that something happened. It's tragic when things happen to family. Always, when something happens to a young lady, it's bad. Not saying that other things are not important, not saying that, never. But everybody knows what I mean. It's not good to receive that tragic phone call. That is the worst thing that can happen. So before this great gentleman shuts the program down, I would love for everybody to send him comments on the channels that I said. I'm very curious of what you saw today on social media for the TV channels. What happened in New York City from 6 o'clock in the morning until 11:59? I'm curious. And if there's people out there from around the world or people that are out there from other states, I'm curious. Check it out as well. I would love to know the comments of everybody, what you think happened in New York City. Check out those channels that I said. I would love to hear it from the people. I can say it, right? But if people who don't live in New York City say it, read it, and say, wow, that's a lot more important than me saying it.
You know, I remember back in the days when people looked out for each other, whether you lived in New York, wherever you was at, but especially New York. Now I notice when people are getting jumped or people are getting harassed, everybody's just pulling out their phones. That's all they're doing. Nobody's stepping in to help no more. I remember living in neighborhoods, especially my neighborhood. If somebody came in my neighborhood that nobody knew, you was checked. You couldn't just walk into a neighborhood without somebody saying, who are you? Who you going to see? What's your intentions here? If they didn't know you. Because that's how, back in the days, that's how neighborhoods stuck together. Now everybody's just walking in people's neighborhood and end up doing something to somebody because nobody's checking for this person. Like, who are you? Especially if you look like a weirdo. If you look like a weirdo, yeah, people check you. If you look like there was something wrong with you, or you got checked. Especially in my neighborhood. Okay? Yonkers, oh yeah. You came on one of these streets, Elm Street, Walborden, School Street. Like DMX said, School Street, the home of the brave. You couldn't walk in these slow bombs. You couldn't walk in these places without being checked. Now with things, you can just walk into people's neighborhood. You can rob. I mean, it's so bad right now to where elderly people are being robbed, and instead of somebody stepping in, they're filming it. They're filming it. You're filming. That could be your grandmother. That could be your aunt, your mother. You're just filming it. You're filming it. You're filming it. You're filming it.
I don't know. I don't know if you've seen the news, Channel 7 News. Before. A lot of the delivery people who have those bicycles with the motors, they're getting attacked. They're taking the money and they're taking also their bikes and they're getting assaulted. And there was a video, give it a week or two, you had someone who went in a building, he started kicking that door in, kicking that door in, just trying to get in. And the guy had a hammer. And that's sad. We need safety for everybody.
Hey, Rocky, man, what I'm saying, what I consider weirdo, like people coming in, just looking crazy. Some people, it could be hot outside. You got people wearing long coats and a hat. You know what I'm saying? So the weird stuff like that, stuff that looks out of the ordinary, that don't look right. You know what I'm saying? And I remember we checked him. He's like, "Yo, who are you? What's going on? What's your agenda here?" Now, nobody's checking nobody. I know it's bad when you got elderly people being pushed in the train tracks in New York City. Being pushed. This could be your grandmother. Nobody thinks, like, what are you doing disrespecting elderly people? Nobody's thinking about these things. Nobody's thinking about protecting. Everybody wants to pull out a camera and put it on World Star. Like, what? Don't make sense, man. Don't make sense at all. Horrible. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that. A little bit before the coronavirus. You had a guy on World Star. Very tragic. You had a guy who kicked a homeless elderly lady. You probably saw that. The video.
I probably did. I might have saw that, yeah.
A couple days later, he was arrested.
Wow.
And someone recorded it. It's sad.
Wow. That's horrible, man. I know it's going to be very bad right now with the cops being on the decline, NYPD, everybody's retiring and running for the hills. And I kind of don't blame them because they have no backing no more. They have no type of backing no more. None. They have no backing no more. Hold on.
I'm packing some stuff for Belize right, man, at this moment, man. I'm working right now, packing some stuff for Belize. I'm getting that organized with my son right now as we talk.
I'm sorry, that was my partner, Philly Dom. Please go and join Philly Dom and subscribe to his channel. Philly Dom is really digging into the migrant situation, which that's another problem because they came here with the intent that, they was going to get stuff done quick, and now they're ungrateful. They're upset because they're not getting, everything they want. So that's another problem, and a lot of them are going back. They're getting sent back to Venezuela because they're like, oh, this is not the American dream that we thought, and it's getting too cold. Well, you're coming to America. It's cold in New York. What do you expect? But you're not going to get all that because they're not even doing nothing for the veterans and the homeless people here. So now a lot of us, having temper tantrums, and they're upset right now. So he does a lot of stuff. That's right there. Yeah, you're right, bro. Yeah, you're right, Rocky, man. So they're getting upset and they're having temper tantrums because they're not getting things the way they want. And, they didn't want to go to the tent in Brooklyn, so they sent them back to the Road Hotel because they want. They just, they don't even have paperwork and they just want. And that's another story, man. Philly Dom is the person. The brother's a good brother. He's like my spiritual brother. Definitely go subscribe to his channel, man. He's tackling that real deep. But I'm about to shut it down right now. I'm about to make me some dinner. But brother, thanks for coming on. Salute, man. And everybody out there, just if you do live in New York or wherever you live at, just be careful, man, because the cops right now are not getting backing, and it seems like it's gonna be us citizens against everybody. All right, so just leave a comment on what you thought about this. Like, share, subscribe to my channel, hit that bell, that notification bell, and I'm gonna try to do another one tomorrow. Thank you, Rocky Man, and thank you, brother. Yes, sir. I'm out of here. Salute. I'm Ghost.